and welcome to Science Chat. Today we are here with Dr. DB, and we're going to be talking about how it's like to be a cancer biologist. Alright, so first question of the day is that what do cancer biologists mostly do?
So mostly cancer biologists try to understand the biology of cancer cells. So cancer cells tend to grow out of control. So we try to figure out why that happens for different types of cancers, what causes that, and then we have a better understanding of how to treat it.
Okay. For our second question is, what do you like most about being a cancer biologist?
Wow, that's a very good question. I think what I like the most about it is that I feel like I'm making a difference, because cancer, unfortunately, kills a lot of people in a year, and if we can better understand the disease and figure out how to treat it, we can keep so many individuals from dying and families from being sad because they lose their loved ones to cancer. So I really like the thought of being able to make a difference in making people healthy and not having to have cancer anymore.
Okay, that's a great question. That is a great question and great answer. Okay.
If you say so yourself.
Yes. Okay. So for number 3, how do you know people have cancer?
Ooh, that's a tricky question. It just depends. Sometimes the symptoms are different, but a lot of times when people do have cancer, they might be really tired. Their behaviors might change. So sometimes it's a little difficult just to tell by looking at someone that they might have cancer. Occasionally, someone might develop growths or lumps in certain places, but the best way to figure out is either by lab tests or biopsies or some sort of imaging.
Okay, so what you're telling me, like you can tell about their way of actions, right? Okay, so like if people like change of like when someone comes over, like normally when they're not here and they're like acting like normal, nice and stuff, if like people come over and they're acting like rude and stuff, does that mean like mostly they have cancer, or if they're like behavior changes and stuff?
Not necessarily, but with some cancers, behaviors can change, but not all the time.
I have a
wouldn't base
question.
it off of that.
Okay. What's your question, Karen?
Can like certain kind of animals get cancer?
You know what? Just most living things can get cancer. So this little doggy right here, he can get cancer too.
Okay. All right. Number 4 is, how can I become a cancer biologist?
Well, one way is you can stay in school, study science and math. Typically going to college helps because it lets you learn more about higher level sciences and math. And then if you potentially go to graduate school, you can focus on cancer biology. So that's one particular way in which you can become a cancer biologist. There are actually colleges as well that are more clinical, and so they typically work in hospitals.
Okay. So number 5 is, what's fun about being a scientist?
What's fun about it? It's never boring. You're always answering different questions, and it's always a different experiment to do. So being a cancer biologist is pretty fun because you're always coming up with new ideas and contributing knowledge.
Okay. So for number 6 is, does science connect with math?
Wow, that is a big question. So when you think about science and math, they pretty much go hand in hand. Pretty much. When you think about when you do research, you ever done a science experiment?
Yes.
And when you do your science experiment, do you collect data?
Yes.
And so a lot of times that data has you doing different types of math to figure out answers to questions, right? So some areas of science you do math when you're calculating data, and there are different areas of science and math that coalesce or are integrated together. Like for instance, if you're doing like bioinformatics, which has a lot of computing, which is a combination of science and math. So yes, math and science do have a lot to do with each other.
Okay, and I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
When I know, like when you're a human and like your behavior changes when you have cancer, does it have the same reaction to animals?
You mean when animals get cancer, do they act the same way?
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the similar outcomes, similar treatments. So, like you have vets and they can diagnose certain animals with cancer, and then they can determine what sort of treatment they should have for the cancer.
Are there such things as vets having cancer biology, like people that do cancer biologies for vets and pets and stuff?
That specialized?
Yes.
I'm sure there is cameraman. But thank you for all these wonderful questions.
No problem. And thank you for watching Wonder Chat. And thank you for enjoying this.